quick overview of how to create quizzes in Canvas. So first thing you need to do is go to your quizzes tab, and I'm just doing it in the sandbox here. So I'm going to create a new quiz. Now when you click on quiz, it will ask you the first time whether you want classic quizzes or new quizzes. I recommend you say new quizzes because about 2021 they're going to be migrating to all new quizzes only. So you might as well learn the new one when you're learning. So hit submit there, and then it creates a quiz, and I'm going to just call this a sample quiz. And then you can say how many points you want. Let's say I just want this to be a 10-point quiz. And my assignment group, I have assignments and assessments. So my quiz is an assessment. And then I want to tell the students what they got as a percentage. But you do have choices. You can tell them how many points they got, or a letter grade, or GPA scale, things like that. And then if you just want it to be a quiz to see how they're doing, but you don't want it to count towards their grade, you can click that. This external tool, you would just leave that as is, and you'll see why, because this tool right here tells us how to, it's the tool that helps us create the quiz itself. Allow number attempts, so you can tell them they have unlimited, or they can try the quiz multiple times. If it's a real quiz, you probably only want it once. And then you can assign it to your different groups. So I'm going to assign it to my sandbox and nobody else. And then I can set due dates and when it's available. So if I want a specific time that they need to take the quiz, like during class, I can make it available only certain times, and then they have that availability. So I'm going to click save, and then it brings me up to the quiz creation screen. And so I can add instructions, something like, please take this sample quiz, and click done. And then I have here this little plus button, and I have all the different categories. So I'm going to cover these categories at the top here, all these different categories, so real quick, and then I'll show you what they look like. So categorization, so this is a nice kind of question. By the way, question title does not actually appear on the student version, so you want to put anything that's important down in the question stem, something like, please put these into the correct category. And so then we have the different categories. So this could be humans, and these are cartoon. And then we can have distractors also. I like to have it be a none of the above. If you have a distractor, that means they just leave it and they don't put it into a category at all. I like to tell the students that there's a category of none of the above. So we'll go ahead and add that one. None of the above. And then you can type in categories, like we could have Joey and Ross and Rachel. And then you could have cartoon characters like Wilma and Betty and Fred. And then category 3 might be something, I don't know, like table. And then we just do this and set the number of points, and we click done. So that's the category. And then we can look at the next one, which is file upload, which is pretty straightforward. This is if you want them to upload a file. So if you want to see their work, you can just have them upload a file, and then you will grade it later. And so over here we have the question title, which we don't need again. But question stem is, please upload your work here. And then the options are on-screen calculator, of course, but limit the file number. So you can say, you know what, I want them to do 1 page only, or 2 pages, or whatever. And then restricting the file types, I usually say I want PDF or JPEG. Now JPEG can be written JPG or JPEG, and then maybe a PNG, which is another picture type that's sometimes used. And then we can click done here, and that'll allow them to upload their file there. The next type is formula, which is quite powerful, but also has a couple of weaknesses. So your question stem is, please calculate the area of a circle with radius, and then we're going to put in backwards tick marks, and we'll say radius r, for example, and that's going to be our variable. And if you notice down at the bottom, it's picked up that that was a variable, and we could have multiple variables. Now, one thing we can't do is have things like, let's say I say, well, I want the variable x over here, so it picks up that x, but then if I say x plus r, it won't actually write out x plus r. It'll write the words x plus r, so it won't calculate that for us in there. So it does have its limitations. So we're just going to leave it, calculate that with the variable of radius r. And let's say I want my radius to be a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 27 for some random reason, and then 0 decimal places. And then here, I just write down how to calculate the answer. And so the area of a circle is pi, so 3.14159 times the radius squared. And to do exponents, use the caret button. And that's the way to calculate that. And now we can have up to 200 different solutions, so that way every student will get a different answer. Now, with this including pi, I'm going to ask them to go to 2 decimal places, and then I'm going to allow a margin of error of maybe 0.05. So plus or minus a 0.05 margin of error, and that's an absolute margin of error. You can say you can be off a certain percentage or an absolute error. And then we have to click generate, and then this gives me all 200 types will generate, but this is just a sampling of them. And so I can look and make sure that this is the right answer. And so I look at something like 20 squared is 400 times 3.14159. Looks like 1256.64 is the right answer. And then they can be within 500ths of decimal place. And I can allow them a calculator for this one. And we might as well allow them a scientific calculator. And we'll enable one question at a time. We can look at those settings in another video. And then I set how many points, and I click done. That is the formula question type. The next question type is matching. Now, matching has a big caveat, and I'll tell you about it in just a second. There is a danger on this. So please match these words. Now, the matching, I might have plant, dessert, and desert. And so a plant would be maybe a petunia, and then a dessert might be cake, and a desert might be the Sahara. And then if I don't want 4 here, I can delete this last one. And if I wanted more, I could add questions. And then I can add a distractor. And what this is going to display is it's going to show plant and then have a drop-down menu with these 3. And I can add more if I want to have things that are distracting to the answer. So I'm going to leave it like this. And the caveat I want to give you on this is the students have to get all 3 of these right in order to get the points. If they miss a single one, then they get none of the points. So if you want to give them a point for each question, you're going to want to make this 3 different multiple choice questions. So again, the students have to get all of this question right in order to get any points. They make a single mistake, they get 0 points. But if you want them to get points for each question they get right, then make these multiple choice questions, and you'd have to set it up as 3 different questions. You can shuffle the questions, which kind of makes sense that you shuffle these around, and then we click done. So that's the matching. And then I'm going to show you the multiple choice, which is the kind that you might want to do. So over here, you might say, let's just take plant. Which of these is a plant? And then you could say petunia. cake and Sahara. And then you just do that again. And again, I want to delete this portion right here. And I'm going to shuffle the choices just so that way it kind of varies along here. Now, one of the nice things about multiple choice is sometimes there's one right answer, and that's just the normal. But sometimes there's an answer that's kind of a little bit partial correct, like and you want to give them half credit for picking one of those. And that would be varying the points by the answer. And so you can say if they answer this, they get this many points. If they answer this one, they get this many points. So that's a nice little feature right there. And so that's the multiple choice. And so I can click Done. And then the next kind is ordering, which, as you can imagine, is putting things in order. So put these presidents in order from first to most recent. So we can say first, and then my bottom label is most recent. And so we put these in the correct order. So George Washington, and then maybe we have Gerald Ford, and keeping with the G theme, we'll go with George W. Bush. And again, let's just do only 3. And then over here, I have on-screen calculator, which doesn't make sense in there. I have this option which says display answers in a paragraph. And the standard form is to have them vertically listed. But if I display answers in a paragraph, they'll just list them out horizontally, and they just move them more in a timeline looking thing. And so over here, include labels, that's the top and the bottom labels, and I do want that. So I'm going to click Done on that. And then the next question type is essay, which is pretty straightforward. So what is the meaning of life? And then you can have them show the word count, or have the rich content editor so they can do bold and underline. Or if you don't want that, that's fine. And of course you can set a word limit, so that way you say, in 10 words or less, answer this. I know some of my students, I sometimes need to set that word limit when I want a brief answer. So even though it says essay, this could be a very short answer type thing, but you still want a few sentences. So that is the essay. And then the next one is fill in the blank, and that can be a little bit harder to use at first, but it's actually quite powerful. So you might say, please fill in the blank. And then you'll type a statement, and you'll type something like your favorite color is purple, which I know that's really forcing it on the students, but I'm just trying to get them to do some words here. And then things like I like to run around the track. And so then you can have them have words. So I'm going to select the word color, and I want them to type in that word. So that's going to be a blank. And then what do you do around a track? You run. And so then I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to be the list of things. And so color is going to be something that I want the answer to contain that word color. You have other choices like close enough, which lets a student have a spelling error, so that's fine if they have a spelling error. And then you can have an exact match, meaning the only thing that they have is the word color. So it contains color would be like your favorite watercolor is purple, would be okay with the contains color, but exact match would have to be only the word color, not watercolor. And close enough could be if they misspell the word And then you could specify correct answers, which we'll look at that in just a second. And then regular expression match, which I'm not going to get into right now. So I'm going to allow them to misspell the word color because maybe they're from England and they spell it with a U in there. And then over here on this next one, well, you might not want to run around the track. You might want to walk. And so I'm going to specify correct answers. So run could be one, or walk around the track. And so now if they type in run or they type in walk, either one of those is fine as the answer. So that is fill in the blank. And to get those blanks, remember I highlighted it. So I typed out my sentence, highlighted it, hit enter. And then the next type of question is called hotspot, which is probably the most powerful one of all. And so this is where you have a picture and you want them to click on something. So I would say here, click on the portion of the graph that is decreasing at an increasing rate, meaning it's going down, but it's going down faster and faster. Now I need a picture in here, so I'm going to just drag one in here, drag it off here. And so now I want to select the part that is decreasing at an increasing rate. And so I can do a square, I can do an oval, or I can do a polygon. This is not a map marker, it's a polygon. And so I'm going to do just a polygon because I don't want them to click down here. So I'm going to click here and say, okay, this is all increasing at a decreasing rate. So right here, so long as they click within that area, and I just double clicked in that section. So anywhere they click in that blue area will be a correct answer. So that is the hotspot. So you can have pictures and say, click on the dog, and then they have to click on the dog. The next type of question is multiple answer. So this is nice. You can have multiple things. So for example, click on all the fruits. And so you can have, well, one of the fruits might be strawberry. Another fruit might be peach. And you're not limited to just two correct ones. You can have, as many as you want. You can add answers. And then I'm going to add an incorrect answer here. So we'll say steak. And we'll do another incorrect answer. How about chair? And I'll even add another incorrect answer here of keyboard. And so now I've got my incorrect answers, and I can shuffle the choices, which is, usually what you will want. You can lock them in place, so that way you have certain ones in certain places, and then shuffle everything else. And then, of course, you can delete the questions. Now, this one here, unlike the matching, they get partial credit if they're partially correct. So I'm going to hit done on that one. That is the multiple answers, not to be confused with multiple choice. Multiple choice, they only get to choose one choice. The next one is numeric, which is just a number type of answer. So I can say something along the line of, what is 5 plus 7? And you want the exact response of 12. And again, you can have a margin of error within a range or precise response. So I want the exact response. Now, this is different than the formula because every student will get the same question. What is 5 plus 7? And then I say done. And then the last one is true false, which you can probably guess is just a true false question. So this was fun. And so, of course, the answer is true. And so then you have your true false. So now let's take a look at what they look like as a student. So I've clicked done on there. And at the very top, I can click preview. And it's always a good idea to look what the quiz looks like as a preview. So this is what your category one looks like. So put these into the correct category. So humans, Rachel is a human. Fred is a cartoon. Ross is a human. Tables, none of the above. Betty is a cartoon. Wilma is a cartoon. And Joey is a human. It doesn't matter what order I put these in, so long as they're in the right category. And then you can have the uncategorized ones here, but I like this none of the above, but you choose what you want. And now notice I've only got one question on a page, so I click next. And then here I would upload any work that I might have. So let's just put in some file here. So I'm going to put that graph just because that file is easy to get to. So there's my work. And then here, calculate the area of a circle with radius 17. And let's just say I put in some very wrong answer. I say 78. And notice this has that random question. If somebody sitting next to me, they would have a different question there. Then I need to match these words. Now notice this is the drop down. So if I get one of these wrong, I get the whole thing wrong. So the desert is the Sahara Desert. A dessert is a cake. And a plant is a petunia. And then which of these is a plant? We'll just say cake is a plant. And then put these in order from first to last. So George Washington is first, then Gerald Ford, and then George Bush. And if this had been horizontally, they just would have listed them across, and I would just move them left and right. Here's my next question. What's the meaning of life? So 42 is the meaning of life. And then your favorite, and then we need to type in, and so I'll type color a little bit off in spelling, and then I like to walk around the track. And then click on the portion of the graph that is decreasing at an increasing rate. So I'm going to click there. If I don't like that, I can click there. And whenever I'm happy with my answer, I click next. And then click on all the fruits. So strawberry, I'm going to pretend I get this wrong. And so here, strawberry, steak, and peach. And then what's 5 plus 7? That's 12. And then true, false. This was fun. Of course it was. That's true. And I click submit. And then upon submission, you'll not be able to change your answers. You're ready to submit. And if I'd skipped a question, it would tell me that I'd skipped a question. So I click submit. And then it grades it for me. Obviously, it's not going to grade the uploaded file. And so then over here, I got 7 out of 12 points. 2 questions require grading. And so we look over here. This one here is waiting for grade. And then this one was wrong, and then this one here, I got 1 out of 1 point, and then this one here, I got wrong. The correct answer was petunia. I got this one right. What's the meaning of life? So this one is waiting to be graded. Over here, it's apparently not that great on the exact answer, so the spelling was too far off. And if you look at that, this is a great reason to look at it. I probably want to increase the number. There's an accuracy number, and so I probably want to increase that number to give it a little more variation possibility. And so then I look at this, I go, okay, I got that one right. And then over here, notice I got half a point out of 1 point because I got something wrong in this one. And then 5 plus 7 is 12, and this was fun. So that is the quiz generation for